Hi everyone, my name is Navneesh and you're watching Navneesh Art. The video that you're watching right now, the sketch, I have already uploaded that video on my YouTube channel. So go watch, like, share, subscribe and comment. And in this particular video, I will talk about type of pencils, shading technique, and at the end of this video, there will be a small clip on how to shade. So let's start with today's video without any delays. Thank you so much. So first, understand the type of grades. Basically, there are three main grades in any pencils. The first is F grade, which means fine point, which means these pencils can be sharpened to the fine point and these pencils can be used for outline. These pencils can also be used for shading, however depends on the control that you have on your pencils. So the first one is the fine point pencils. The second is the B grade, that is blackness. This grade is used by most of the artists. This grade is used for sketching purpose. The third is the H grade, that is hardness. Now, this grade is not used by any of the artists. So out of these three grades, the B grade is used by most of the artists. So basically, these are the main grades in pencil, whether it's graphite pencil, whether it's charcoal pencil. So these are the grades. Now let us understand the numbers. You have 2B, 3B, 4B, 5B, 6B, 7B and 8B if you talk about the B grade pencils. Similarly, in H grade, that is the hardness, you have H, 2H, 3H, 4H, 6H, 7H, 8H, 9H, 10H, 12H, depending on the grades that are available. So if you talk about the numbers, let's say in B grade, okay, an 8B pencil is more darker than 7B, 7B is more darker than 6B, 6B is more darker than 5B, 5B is more darker than 4B, and so on. Similarly, if you talk about similar 3B, similar if you talk about H, an 8H pencil will be more harder than 7H, 7H will be more harder than 6H, 6H will be more harder than 5H. So that's about grade and numbers. Now you also have B grade, okay. B is the lightest grade in the B division. You also have the HB grade. It's a combination of hard lead and a blackness or the bold lead. So these are the three grades and these are the numbers. I will definitely demonstrate you. These are the shading guides. You should always use these shading guides whenever you're sketching anything. So I will put the video in the time-lapse mode. So if you see, the shadings or the darkness decreases with the decrease in number. So you need to remember, as this shading guide will help you to sketch or to shade a lot of subjects properly. Once you understand the shading guide, it will become easier for you to understand and determine which pencil I should use. We also have an F grade pencil, as I mentioned earlier. It's a fine point pencil which can be sharpened to the fine point. Now, all these shading guide, or you can say the shading, not all, but all these shading guides should be always available with you whenever you sketch. So you can use that as a reference. So that's about the numbers and grades. Always remember, always use B grade pencils because they are helpful. Most of the artists, they use B grade pencils. And whenever you shade, you start from a lighter pencil and then go to a darker pencil, which means a lower number and then to a higher number. Now let's understand the shading technique. The first technique is the hatching technique. In hatching, you only draw lines in any way, in any direction. It could be vertical, horizontal, but these are only lines. In cross hatching technique, that's a second technique, we use straight lines, okay, and then we also cross those lines. That means we use these techniques, or we use the pencil twice. That's a second technique. The third technique is the circlism. I mostly use the circlism technique, where you use the pencil in round shape. Okay, this is the uh, famous technique that is used by most of the artists. I use this technique as one of them. Then the fourth technique is the blending technique. Now, in blending, you use the pencil in any direction that you want, okay, whether it's vertical or horizontal. Then you use a paper stump to blend, okay. So these are the four major shading techniques that are used by most of the artists. So the first technique is the hatching technique. Now, hatching technique is used for lighter shades, it is used for lines. Cross hatching technique is used for darker shades, if you want to use for skin. Circlism technique, which is used by me, it is used for more darker shades. It gives you a smooth texture. And blending technique also gives you a smooth texture. It gives an even shading to the subject. So once again, these are the four techniques: hatching, cross hatching, circlism, and blending technique. Now remember all these techniques. Now let's look at one subject. I'm drawing an eye over here. Okay, I've already sketched it. I'm drawing an eyebrow. Okay, I will put this video in a time-lapse mode so that we can understand it properly. So right now, for the outline, I used the HB pencil, okay, because the HB pencil is mostly used for outlines. You can also use an F pencil if you want a lighter outline. Now if you see, I started off with a lower number grade earlier. Now I'm using a 6B pencil. The pencil that I have is a 6B pencil, okay. Now I'm using a blender out here, because blender helps me to give an uneven or even shading, not uneven, even shading throughout the subject. Now I'm using a 2B pencil out here, okay. Always, whenever you shade, the most important thing is your first layer should be a lighter shade, okay. So I'm doing a lighter shade right now. Now if you see, it's a lighter shade completely surrounding the eye. Now if I want to darken it, I have used a 6B pencil. I'm trying to darken the outline because it's required. As per the reference, it is required. Now again, I'm using a 2B pencil. First I layered it, the eyebrow, with 2B pencils. That is very important, because you have a white paper, so it's always important that you should layer it with a lighter pencil, lighter B pencil. Now if I want a darker texture, I will use a darker shade pencil, a higher number pencil. So I'm using a 6B pencil out here. Now I have drawn a crease below the eye, okay. It depends. If you want with a 4B pencil, you can also get a darkness of 6B pencil. Depends on the pressure that you put. I mostly use blender because it helps me to give an even texture throughout the subject. Again, I'm drawing creases out here which are below the eyes. I again use blender so that I can spread it throughout evenly. I have now, this is a 2B pencil that I'm using because will first layer it with a lighter pencil. Okay, then if it's required, I will use a 6B pencil. If the reference states that I need to use a more darker shade, then I will use a darker pencil. So that's how you shade it. I have used a blender a lot. So thank you so much for watching this video, how to shade. I will come up with few more videos. I hope you have understood the type of pencils. I hope you have understood the grades, the shading technique. Thank you so much for watching, and subscribe to Navneesh Art.